Sometimes, things are hard and we say that's life. Sometimes you're 88 Keys and you release a song with Mac Miller and Sia called That's Just Life, in which Mac Miller pretty much explores the idea of why life becomes such a struggle and what it usually pushes people into. And he uses himself as an example, talking about the weed or the sex that he has in order to feel better, in order to not feel as though he's worthless, or at least give him some type of just sanity for the moment before he has to go back into his busy array of things that are causing him stress. And he doesn't just shy away from talking about other things as well. He points out how the government sucks and how basically, some people's jobs and lives are not where they are because pretty much it's sort of this weird cycle, right? You live and you die. We know these aspects, and we know that life is not a promised set of time. Life is not a set amount of time. However, you work a job in order to fund the things you want to do, but that job might not pay as much, so you're trying to actually just survive, and then you're stressed out because some days the check isn't as good or isn't as high as you want, so then you can't actually do the things you want, so now you're losing your mind. So what do? You use what you can to find some type of de-stressor. For some people, obviously the healthiest mechanisms are not always available, or it's just difficult to practice, so you go to the easier thing. You go to a liquor store, you go get some weed, you go do some type of drugs, you go have some type of sex. Pretty much these different things, these different vices, I guess you would say, feed into this idea. And also, there's nothing wrong with doing any of those things, by the way. It's just doing them in excess amounts and doing them to a dangerous degree that you could potentially harm yourself. That's what makes them vices. When you can't control how much you consume of them, when you can't control how much of the time you're spending doing that thing instead of finding ways to get out of the situation, or feeling so trapped in your situation that you can't. And sometimes people are quite literally financially trapped in the situation they have. It's not as simple as just put on your bootstraps and work hard, and soon enough you'll be rich like me. The guy who already had a bunch of parents and a bunch of old money that was just sitting around. These type of things happen, and usually the way people try to keep from crying is just saying, hey, life just sucks at times. And being able to survive it and being able to thrive and succeed in certain aspects is something that people try to do. It's not the easiest thing, but it's kind of a way for people to just remind themselves that even if they're struggling now, there is potential. Usually that hope is in the future. Matt kind of says it when he says forever is in tomorrow. All the things we kind of dream of, we usually put it on the next day. We put that pressure on the next day. Then we wake up the next day and we say, man, I can't wait for tomorrow, because there's always this potential for tomorrow that sometimes we get lost in that. We get lost in imagining what the future will be, but we're not actually doing or taking steps to work towards it. Again, I don't want to invalidate anyone who is working towards it and is just falling into different pitfalls and traps and different frustrations that may come to them, And there's a lot of stress with just chasing your dreams as well, because you might have an idea of something you want to do, but it might not be the most financially, stable thing to do. It might be risky. And if you take a risk, there's potential for failure. And sometimes that failure, the amount of failure that could happen from taking that risk might be so intense that no one wants to actually pursue it. Life can be intensely stressful, and thus we have the vices. Sia does have, I was wondering when she was going to come in. I thought she was actually the background vocal melody that was like, which I really like. This is very beautifully done. I think the 88 Keys did a great job in capturing sort of this nostalgic feeling, but not making it too dark, giving it kind of that background brightness that kind of pushes someone forward. And I really appreciate what he did with this song. But yeah, Sia's part seems to almost, I don't know, this might be stupid, but I don't know if they recorded it at the same time. I feel like the way it sounds is though with Sia's lyrics, she sort of is talking in a regretful tone and a regretful manner of someone she wishes she was there for, because she saw them struggling, and the one time they were alone, she missed out on being able to help them. And Like, it feels as though she's talking to Mac. It feels as though she's talking to Mac. But just because of the way that, like, this is a posthumous release, I could be completely wrong. If she recorded at the same time, she could be talking about someone else in her life, and I don't want to just turn it into, it was about Mac. It could have been about anybody in her life that she missed out on the opportunity to help them when they were alone, and she lost them forever, potentially. And sometimes that happens when life becomes so intensely stressful. Some people take extreme measures, and those extreme measures might not lead to good results, potentially fatal results. So if you ever have anyone in your life that you feel is like tipping on the edge, whatever you can do to help them back away from that, please do your best to do that. But don't feel as though you have to save everyone's life. Do what you can and help how you can, and try to understand people, obviously to a reasonable degree. This song is pretty nice. Like I said, I like the vocal melodies. I like how the beat kind of has these nice little horns in the back, and I really enjoy the feeling that it has, that it's kind of like it's not just sitting back, but again, it feels more like this song, like instrumentally and obviously lyrically, is trying to fight back. It's trying to not just be stuck, and it's doing what it can. It's doing what it can and not just getting lost in the muck. You know, that's why I feel like it's actually got some hopeful tinge to it. Even though Mac is talking about fighting all these different things, he's talking about how difficult it is, but he's still going through with it. And I think that's the most important thing you can do in life, is understand that there are difficulties, but not feel as though you cannot overcome them. Because more times than not, depending on what it is, you can actually find yourself beating these things, and usually the people around you have an effect on that. The environment around you have an effect on that. And as long as you have like a good set standard for yourself and you believe in yourself, you can achieve a lot of things. I don't want that to seem as though, okay, just take your bootstraps and believe in yourself and everything will be fine. This is not a freaking anime, and I am definitely not the protagonist, so I don't want to say that. But do what you can, believe in yourself as best you can, and try your damnedest to achieve the things you want to do. And I'm sure that you will have at least a modicum of success. Very fun song. Nice to hear Mac again. It's cool to hear Sia in this way. I feel like I hear her kind of on and off, but that's just because I don't listen to her that much. 88 Keys, this was my introduction to him, and I'm going to go listen to his other stuff, which apparently the last thing he released was 9 years ago in 2010. So I'm going to go listen to that. I like the song, dig the vibes. That's life. 88 Keys, Mac Miller, and Sia. I'll see you later. Well, this guy says, sometimes, you know, usually when you hear the saying, that's life, it's coming after a big struggle. But you know what else is life? Enjoying things and experiencing new things and having fun. That's also life. It's not just one hard part where you just kind of just scraggle and scream for like 30,000 years or something. You can also have some fun with it. Peanut butter cookies, some vanilla ice cream with cookie dough in it. There's desserts in life too.